I have my guest in the studio, and Kofi Osei, he's a legal practitioner, but also a former member of parliament for Esu, and he's in the studio. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Okay. And how's life after parliament? Yeah, you've experienced this before, so it's nothing new. Having a lull after parliament and coming back, etc. So how usually is it?
Well, normal. Life is the same, going on with my thoughts and my thinking process, and that is to assist in shaping this country, moving it forward, so that people will have the happiness and the development that they desire. That is the whole agenda of being in politics. So whether you are in parliament or outside parliament, the agenda is to move on the path of development. And when I talk about development, the development of the human and natural resources of our land.
Well, thank you very much, and we're happy and privileged to have you in the studio. So,
thank you very much. And let me take this opportunity to say good morning to your viewers and to the Ghanaian people. It's good to be back.
Well, let's look at this. Parliament has been blamed for approving, and I'm sure the last Parliament, $510 million, the Ameri power contract signed under the previous administration. And the power deal had been a source of controversy since it was signed, we're told. And I don't know, you were in Parliament at the time, and the minority had a cause to complain and raise concerns about it. Foremostly at the time, what were some of the concerns that you raised?
Well, the concerns revolved around the principles of equity, accountability, and transparency. Those were the lacking features within the deal, which some of us could not have the details or the full particulars of the deal. And so it couldn't measure up to the value for money test. So it is now emerging from excerpts coming out that the commission alone was in excess of about 150 million, in which case it doesn't inure to our development plans, especially when we still haven't resolved the energy problems. So apart from that, the Norwegians are giving us anecdotal evidence that the cost of the project should have been within the vicinity of 220 million US dollars. But we went in excess of that, more than double. Again, these go to hurt the Ghanaian people. And a deal like that, I believe, was one of the reasons as to why the Ghanaian people decided that the previous government was not well positioned to carry this country forward on a path of righteousness. And it's for that reason that they packed them aside and brought the Akufo-Addo government, where now we seek to renegotiate that deal because there are issues that revolves around fraud, and as you know, fraud vitiates whole contract. So we would call and then judge and see the extent to which we can reduce the burden on the Ghanaian people insofar as that deal is concerned, particularly where we use the Ghanaian money for a cause that is not beneficial at the end of the day. So our job is to make sure that if things were not done properly, we will go through the usual rules of procedural fairness and natural justice to bring relief to the people and to ourselves.
But following that, there was a press conference that was organized by the Minority Caucus in Parliament, and the spokesperson of the Minority on Energy, a former Power Minister, Dr. Kwamna Donkor, addressed a press conference on Monday, and he insisted that the agreement went through the right processes and channels through Cabinet, Committee of Mines and Energy of Parliament, and through the plenary, and subsequently being passed or agreed. But let's watch him.
Government entered into a contract with Ameri Energy as a developer. The developer carries all the risk of the project, and whoever the developer brings us an EPC contractor or subcontractor is of no consequence, except where the contract states that the client must approve the subcontractor, which is not the case in this build, own, operate, and transfer agreement. The financial arrangement between a developer and or EPC contractor is the private business of the consortium. This principle is well established in energy project management. What is expected of government is to achieve a good tariff for the consumer. In this particular case, the tariff for Ameri, levelized at 11.46 cents per kilowatt hour, is currently the cheapest thermal plant in Ghana in terms of tariff. The committee claimed it had not cited any document replacing APR with Ameri Energy. That is paragraph 7E of the report. There is no such document because Ameri never replaced APR. Ameri initially indicated they were bringing APR when the rental option was under discussion. However, when we moved to the BOT, APR indicated unofficially that they would want to bring some slightly used turbines from Libya. The government team completely rejected any idea of used equipment. The report claimed in page 7E that due diligence was not done. In an emergency situation, the ministry was happy to leave due diligence to JP Morgan, the international financial giant that confirmed the standby letter of credit. JP Morgan only agreed to confirm the standby letter of credit after their own due diligence. Parliament also probed the credentials of Ameri and requested and received the appropriate documentation before approving the power purchase agreement. And it is important to know that the state of Ghana had no exposure to Ameri at this stage, because the risk of procuring the turbines was on Ameri and not Ghana.
And that is Dr. Kwamna Donkor, a former Minister for Power under the erstwhile NDC government. And he was speaking at a press conference and raising key concerns, especially raising the issue about how the agreement went through Cabinet, the Committee of Mines and Energy, and ultimately approved by the plenary. That's the entire parliament, and you were a member of that parliament as well. Yes, if you particularly look at the content of the agreement and the concerns that you as a minority section of the House were raising at the time, you said it didn't pass through. It didn't meet the value for money indicators as you would prescribe per se. Do you still stand by some of those indications?
Yes, but by the nature of our constitutional arrangements, as you would know, that the last parliament was controlled by the government, or the executive that brought the Ameri deal to Parliament. And as you know, our system is such that Parliament, majority of the ministers are from Parliament, in that particular case, Kwamna Donkor. also a member of parliament, who brings their bill to parliament and has oversight responsibility on that same bill. So what are you talking about? You also have the numbers. So the system is such that even if the deal does not meet the value for money principles, it will pass. So if we really want to curtail these deals from passing through with people like Kwabena Donko coming subsequently to argue that it has passed through the normal channels of accepting it, then he's right. Of course, it went through the system, but is the system, the checks and balances within the system, are they working for the benefit of the Ghanaian? My answer is absolutely not, especially when it is now emerging. Clarity is coming from what transpired at the time. It is upon the clarity that we are getting now that is informing us as to the inadequacy and the substandard contractual agreement that we as a nation, with our people suffering in this current situation, we would go into deals which enriches others but for our citizens. For me, I find that very difficult to swallow.
I see. Now, at what point then did you raise the red flags, and were you given the hearing as it is?
We were never given the hearing. Never. There were press conferences. Ameri was a heated debate. It was all over that it wasn't a good deal. And now we are hoping there can be renegotiation, because it doesn't even speak well of us as a nation to be entering into such deals. People would not take us seriously, but we have done it. Moving forward, for me, is not what happened in the past, but what we can do now to perfect the future for the generations after us. So that is the way I see it. I mean, it's not a question.
We know that the committee was put together. Of course, Philip Addison, Dr. Philip Addison was leading the committee. They came out with their findings, and this generated the renewed debate on the Ameri deal, calling for renegotiation, etc. At the end of the day, on what grounds can we go in for some renegotiation, which will not be to the financial detriment of the country? We
have a business arrangement with Ameri as a legal entity. So if we believe that that arrangement is not balanced, we can always call them as good business partners to re-look at the agreement. It does not in any way, without prejudice to the previous agreement. If Ameri so wish, we can sit down and renegotiate. But if they don't, then we have to advise ourselves as to what legal cost is available to us in terms of whether there are some information within the agreement that has now come to light that would assist us relook at the whole agreement through the legal process. So that there are alternatives, and we would take the decision when we get to the point where we have to take a particular decision. But at this point in time, I think we are open to Georgia, and I don't think Ameri would not acquiesce to such a call for renegotiation.
At the end of the day, we're told that the country loses a lot. By what means do we, as a country financially, become burdened with this agreement?
At the point when you are not supposed to give 150 million, throw it away, dollars, when you throw it away, it stops your people from good drinking water. It stops our children from good education infrastructure. It stops our youth from getting work. It stops the country from improving the quality of life of our people. Even if it's as low as 10 million, even if it's as low as 1 million, even if it's as low as 100,000, we should not create the environment where we are seen not to be managing the resources that God has been kind enough to give to us. So if in the past we haven't managed it well, we should begin to do it now for the future of our children. We cannot leave a future that has no hope for our children and their children. And it is for that reason that we are informed to look at these things again.
You are a legal practitioner as well. For many of the agreements that have resulted to judgment debts in the country, they are as a result of usually disagreements a current administration has had with an agreement with an entity by a previous administration. How sure are we that some of these steps we're taking may not lead to such judgment debts?
Well, I can equally tell you that there have been some of these agreements that were also abrogated that did not lead to judgment debts. So the jury is out. We have to now call in and see whether, on balance, it is better to abrogate and pay judgment debt than to continue with an arrangement that is oppressive and unconscionable, and also laced with fraud.
If the agreement, perhaps in some parts sporadically, is laced with fraud, it means that certain key personalities involved in the signing of the agreement or not would have to be called into question.
You have to understand that the standard of proof in criminal law is different from civil. In criminal law, it is beyond a reasonable doubt. You have to find the accused person guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And in the case of civil, it's on the balance of probabilities, which is a lower standard or burden of proof than the criminal one. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean that because they have made some mistake in the civil area, you can stretch it to get them convicted in the criminal jurisdiction. So again, we've got to look at each case on its merit.
Okay, so let's move the matter forward. We're told the finance minister apparently has been able to negotiate for us to get a historic deal. It's on the front page of the Daily Guide. Let me just read the story to you. It said the Ministry of Finance yesterday successfully issued 15 and 7-year bonds with the same coupon of 19.75%, raising a total of some 1.13 billion US dollars. In all, 2.25 billion dollars were raised. In addition, these activities raised the total amount and resulted in the lengthening of the maturity profile of the instrument available on the domestic market. And thus, the issuance represents a largest amount issued by a sub-Saharan African country in a day. Why the reason of these bonds, especially on the domestic market?
Well, we have to be creative in our thinking, and we have to be original. It's not business as usual, going on the old trajectory. For us, it is being creative, being original, and right now, the finance minister and his team have been able to put this together without adding any burden to our current debt stock. But we are going to use some of this to retire the debt that some of our brothers created for us, right? Created that the interest on it is actually strangulating us to the extent that we need to have a relief. And this is part and parcel of the relief program, which would give us the space to create the developmental programs that we have promised the people of Ghana, get that in place, and then also deal with the debt stock of about 30 billion that they left, that we have not much to show for. Right? We've got to have to retire the debt as well as progress forward. So we need to come out with different programs, creative programs, original programs that would release funds for us to be able to deal with this. I hope that within a certain number of years, we would slowly retire the debt and then also put the developmental infrastructural agenda that also release more funds for our country.
And that is what the finance people will say, create a fiscal space to be able to
exactly the space.
Okay, so we have to invite into the discussion a former member of parliament for Akwitia and Baba Jamal is also a former minister of state. And as we do that, we'll take you back to Dr. Kwabena Donkor, a former prime minister's press conference, and get some sound bites as we make ready Baba Jamal, a former member of parliament for Akwitia and a former minister of state. Please do stay on. We'll be right back.
Members of the Addison Committee, including Mr. Addison himself, visited Dubai. They had meetings with Ameri, even after this report was written. We want to ask, who paid for their tickets? Who paid for the hotel accommodation that they used? We have the evidence that Ameri Energy paid for their hotel, Ameri Energy paid for their flights, their tickets. If we are going to investigate someone, do they pay for your tickets and pay for your accommodation and host you? Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a country of law. Our side will not want to see an energy sector divided between NDC and MPP.
Well, so we have Baba Jamal in the studio. And Baba Jamal is a former member of parliament for Akwitia and a former minister of state. And thanks for joining me, Baba. All right. And before then, we're talking about, we had earlier on talked about the Ameri deal. And I just wanted you to have some 2 minutes bites on this. And
yes.
Because it's something after the committee's report and its trip to Dubai has come out with a conclusive report that the deal, in a way, was fraudulent.
Yeah, good morning to our viewers. I think that if it is true, as it is coming out, and revealed by the minority, that they were fed to Dubai by Ameri, I think that that is in a bad taste, because you can't expect to investigate a body and that body pays for your cost. That definitely will have some effect on your findings. Nonetheless, it has come out that they still found the deal not to be appropriately done. But it could have been worse. Maybe, if they hadn't fed them, they could have come out maybe worse findings. So still, nobody can say that because they said that the deal was fraudulent or the deal is bad, so it means that the ferrying them to Dubai didn't have any effect. Because they could have come, maybe they could have come out with even worse revelations. So in my opinion, fine. In the first place, I think that it was wrong for them to have accepted to be fed by Ameri. We should have fed it ourselves as a country, because that is our deal, and we should have sponsored it fully. But and also whatever findings they've come out with, and if what the minority has said is true, then I think that then that report itself must be.
But have you read the report?
I have not read the report, but I'm saying I'm just looking at.
When you were the Minister of State, you were in government. You were a member of Parliament at the
Yes.
time. The minority raised consistent concerns about the deal, even before the final passage.
Yes.
They raised particularly the money that will be used as upfront servicing of that deal in itself. And now we're being told that it's in excess of some $150 million US.
Yes.
Is it not a bad deal for the ordinary taxpayer today?
You see, it all depends on how you look at it. I remember I was with my brother in Parliament. Our argument as a majority then was that we were looking at it in the long term. We're not looking at it in the short term. So we thought that that deal, in the form that it came, was better for the country. Fine. If, you see, my problem will be if anything fraudulent is found about the deal. That is different from maybe the deal being expensive or the deal being maybe not the best as at now. Because the crisis we found ourselves there, circumstances were different from what we are seeing today. So if maybe we went into a deal that today might not be, because let me tell you, there are a lot of things that we did or governments did in the past that today, given the same opportunity, will not do that because circumstances have changed. So what I'm saying is that
even when you have hindsight, you have your opponents from the other side of the political divide giving you the indication. Think tanks even telling you. For example, the African Center for Energy Policy had consistently raised concerns about the deal at the time when the deal was being signed.
You are talking about a country that was plunged into darkness. We had serious doomsday, and we needed to take immediate action. And you are aware that to come with power to put a power plant together, you don't need anything below 18 months. So, and if you're putting something together in 18 months only to go in for maybe 2 years, we're looking at the long term. So the circumstances then are different from what we are finding today. What I am saying is that if the deal, you see, I always want Ghanaians to draw the difference between being expensive and being fraudulent. If the deal is fraudulent, we find out that any minister, any participant, one way or the other, shortchange this country, then we have to deal with it. But not because
Would you recommend that if the court finds the minister guilty, the minister should go to jail?
Oh, but if a court finds a minister guilty, the court decides
okay.
what he does with the person.
Well, you're a lawyer, so.
The court decides what he does with the person. It's not for me to come in. That's what I'm saying, that if we cannot find the minister guilty just because the deal was expensive. But if the deal is fraudulent, that's different.
Okay.
So that's why I want this report that they've come out with. And now that is even coming out that they themselves were fed by Ameri. Then I think that report itself must be investigated. Because that report could have been worse. Okay. There would have been things.
But you would not say that Ameri would have catered for their airfares and their travels and their accommodation and their allowances, etc. And then at the end of the day, would have self-indicted.
No, that is what I'm saying, that it could have been worse.
All right. Okay, we also commented about the finance minister raising...
Can I just...
Yeah, you wanted to raise something.
I just want to correct about that. The Ameri deal was based on an emergency situation and not a long term.
No, that's what he said.
No, but that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yes. So
that is exactly what I'm saying.
Yes,
I've not said I've not said anything different from what
I
you
think
said.
that's what he said.
Yes,
That's exactly what I said.
That if it is based on an emergency situation.
He said that we were confronted with challenges, and at the time,
Precisely.
we needed.
Now, what we need to look at is where were we before we declined and deteriorated to that emergency situation.
We've passed that,
Which,
haven't we?
Sorry?
We've passed that.
If we are going to look at where we are, then we'll start from maybe 2000.
All I'm saying is that what Baba is professing today, right, is never an antidote. The real issue is that the committee has come out. They were better equipped with evidence. Baba says he has not even read the report from where all those evidence. So now what we are saying is that the deal was bad and that we need renegotiation.
But he's putting up a defense.
Oh, what for?
A
very spirited defense. Where is that taking? Where is that taking us? When in reality,
listen, the report that has come out.
Wait. Let me finish, Baba. Spirited is not going to take us anywhere. The most important thing is that we want renegotiation as a country. If something happened, as Baba said, it could have been even worse.
Let me ask you, do you think that for all the excesses that were told, which mainly are financial, for which the conclusion is that makes the deal a bit of a
dicey?
Yeah,
well, I mean,
not fraudulent, but a bit of not financially prudent, so to speak, or gives value for money. Okay. Do you think they were for financial gain speculatively?
Well, at this point,
for some individuals,
at this point in time, I will not speculate on the propriety or impropriety of those involved.
Well, you're a lawyer, so you know how to choose your words.
So at the appropriate time,
Baba Jamal, we were talking. It's enough of the Ameri deal. It's okay. Whatever will happen. There's a committee. They've gone to Dubai. They're back, and their report is up. It's up. You haven't read the report even itself.
The report itself, whatever it came out with.
But you haven't read the report.
Looked at it,
Baba.
No, I have not.
Honorable, you
no, I
haven't
don't need to read the report.
Oh, you do.
To tell.
You need to read the report.
No, listen. Look at where I'm coming from. I'm saying
Mr. Baba Jamal, you need to read the report.
I will. Definitely.
Okay,
what I'm saying is that
let's
I am
move
not
on,
commenting on the report, the recommendation on the report. I am saying that
we're commenting on at the time.
What happened?
Yes.
And if they were fed, then whatever report they came out with must be looked at again. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, true.
So we move
I'm not
forward.
commenting on the content.
You know
of
the
report.
Minister of Finance has raised $2.3 billion in bonds locally. And let me just apprise you of what the latest are. They issued 15 and 7-year bonds with the same coupon of 19.75%, raising a total of 1.13 billion on one part and 1.2 billion in 5 and 10-year bonds. And the minister said it's because, the market trusts government, and government has been giving the mandate, and government assuredly it has the confidence of the international community, but also the domestic market, because this one was raised domestically, to be able to turn around the economy. What would you say?
You see, I have always said, as a person who has been in government, who has been a member of parliament, that I think that this government must be given some space, some time to put itself together. Sometimes we are tempted to do politics with some of these issues. And I don't want to go on that tangent. Because if we are not careful and I'm to attack what he has said, we'll end up maybe seeing ourselves leaving the national interest and doing politics with it. It's okay if he has been able to raise that. I am saying that the length of a frog will be known when its burial is announced. So when you rush now to say that, oh, I've raised it, I've raised that, it's not a matter of just raising. What will be its effect on the economy? And I want to give them some time and space to see that whatever they are raising should not be just political talk. We should not do, and sometimes we do too much politics with our financial situation. And I saw that a lot in the budget when it was being read. So if you are not careful as an opponent or as a person in opposition, you also go the tangent of politics, which I don't want to do. So
because you have hindsight, you've been in government.
Exactly, we've been in government for 8 years. I was part of the executive for 8 years. And so I understand some of these issues. These are not really serious achievements. These are normal things that happen in government when you are able to.
Well, the question I wanted to ask is, the NPP in opposition always said that public debt stock was always high. Now they've gone to do reprofiling. It means that you go to kind of re-engineer
the whole thing.
Okay. And then you take in a lot more.
That's
I
right.
mean, that's what it means.
Yes, and
it means you're piling up the debt somehow.
And they are claiming that, but you see, they are claiming in the statement that, oh, it's not going to add up to our debt stock. I'm wondering how that is going to be. That's why I'm saying that I don't want to go the politics side.
Okay.
If they've re-engineered to be able to raise this for the country, all the best. But I think that they should reduce the political gymnastics that they always bring into our financials. If we are not careful, we'll end up leaving the national interest and just be talking about
the political interest.
Because this is not an achievement. This is a normal thing that happens in government.
How to finance your...
Of course, if your government comes, you look at your advantages, you take advantage of your goodwill, the goodwill you have wrote on to win power, and you leverage on that.
So that's what they're doing.
So that's exactly what they are doing. It's not new thing at all.
I'm sure that if you had won and you did this, the hell will break loose.
Exactly. They would have run or shouted from the rooftop and said that we are adding to the debt top.
Yeah,
but you see, they are doing the same thing. And
but you are saying that it's because they have the goodwill.
No, I'm saying that they should rise. You see, when the government wins power, it has some goodwill.
A lot
in the beginning, not a lot, some. In the beginning, every government, both the domestic market and outside market, we want to quickly come in and see what they can do with you. So it's not because they trust you, but it's because there is a new dawn of the day and they will want to take advantage of it. It is only when they start dealing with you, because you are only 3 months. And when they start dealing with you, then they will know if after a year or 2, then you bring up something like this, then you can claim that the market trusts you. But not because you have just come and in 3 months, oh, the market trusts us so much. What have you really done?
So it meant that what the international community were raising about your previous government, they didn't trust you after dealing with it?
Yes, they may have their own doubts. I don't doubt that. They may have their own doubts. They may have their own doubts.
Baba Jama points made on that. And it also means that you're going to have the space fiscally that the government says it needs to be able to do many of the things. Because, for example, you've promised free SHS has been budgeted. We're supposed to have incubators that would ensure that we have one district, one factory, one mounted in all districts, etc.
Leading to this stage, there have been a roll-on of programs from the election period. We came out and put our policies and proposals forward. After that, we had the president give a State of a Nation address and outline the way forward. Subsequently, we rolled out a budget. The budget was well received, not only domestically, but internationally. It is upon that basis that we are able to move forward to bring these arrangements to release the 2.3 billion for us to be able to get a fiscal space, to move the agenda forward in the implementation of these programs, which would also roller coast into generating more funds to retire the debt stock that they left. Some of it by holding.
The debt stock is the country's debt stock.
That's the politics of it.
You see,
that's the politics of it.
At every stage in time, you are giving the money.
Are you saying that
you are
if
giving
government
the money,
was going to implement free SHS policy and wherever the money was going to come from, it needed add-on, it wasn't going to increase the debt stock?
You know, my brother, it is called fiscal management and balance.
And you are better fiscal managers?
Well, so far,
you're only 3 months into
yes, but
almost 3 months
the evidence is emerging.
Okay.
And he's admitted that they were not trusted, so they couldn't have done this within a day.
You have to put his statement in context. He said that because you're new.
That's right.
They are sightseeing. They're kind of
they're
doing some kind of wishy-washy on a need-to-know basis. Knowing me, knowing you.
What he's saying is that he really has no clue about. No. What he's saying is that
seriously.
yes, because if you know what you are doing, you wouldn't just say you are because you are new, as if you leave it to the whims and the caprices of the people. It doesn't work like that. You must have a systematic program. You must plan, project, come back and work. So you have focus, you have targets that you must meet. I'm telling you that this just didn't come off the back of a horse.
It's not just an off-the-cuff thing.
It's not what he's saying. Oh,
it's not just an
off-the-cuff. They are new, so because the people. I mean, these are not. It's not.
So you're saying this is not child's play?
We are not daydream. No, this is serious business.
This was child's play.
This is not.
Baba Jamal, this is not child's play. This is serious
remember
business.
that one.
But in the meantime, while this is not child's play and this is serious business, transport fares are up.
No, but you remember in 2013 or so,
yes,
when Setepe took over as the minister, and he went
Setepe, the past finance
former finance minister, when he went to raise bonds and were able to raise more than they did in the previous government, we also came up and said the same thing that they are saying today.
And later went to raise more at a higher interest.
That's right. No, whatever it is, whatever it is, we were also touting our achievement as having raised more, and so the international community trusted us and all this and all this. That's also you see in the beginning of my words. I said, look, let's put the politics aside, because I know you are following the same steps that we did. It's not because the community didn't trust us, but let me tell you, when there is a new government, a lot of proposals will come. I have had the opportunity to be part of the 8 years of government, and not only just be part, but in the thick of it. And I'm telling you that some of these things will come and continue coming. What we need to do is, as a country, sometimes we have to think nationalistically. Let's put our acts together and stop the politics of it. I don't want us, because the moment you start talking like this, it compels some of us to also look at it politically. I think it is a good thing if there is, and as you are saying, which government doesn't have targets? Which government doesn't plan? Which the government don't set goals and time frames to achieve? We all do that. But the only thing is that, the only difference is that it depends on what resources are available to you and how you go about it. As at now, we, unfortunately for us, inherited a huge crisis in terms of the energy situation. And when we came, because the energy crisis that we inherited didn't start with us, but the president came to parliament in his State of the Nation address, indicated that, look, he's not going to blame anybody, he's taking responsibility and want to fix it. And so whatever that was available to us.
So now the energy crisis has been fixed, hasn't it?
We did our best to the extent that we stabilized it before we left government. It is for them to consolidate it. Because when he said that we should look at where we are coming from, if we are to look at that, my brother, we'll go far, far back into history, which does not help us.
Which time in history?
Oh, of course, we'll go even to the Rawlings time.
Because this crisis, your government.
Of course, this crisis.
Rawlings was your government.
This crisis, when Rawlings fixed the situation and said that
Jamal,
in every.
But this one, I think that we're entering into the politics
year we
that
have
you don't
to add
want
200 megawatts. They came and for 8 years didn't add anything. So I don't want to go there.
They added. You said they added 88 megawatts.
Please. In 8 years, if we add 88 megawatts, when we are supposed to add 200 megawatts a year, what are you talking about?
Roland.
Please. Don't let us go.
I think some of us would choose our words carefully and state facts. Right? Now, once you state a fact, one does not necessarily need to attribute it to politics. A fact is a fact. The figures and those words that are put here, I believe they are quite substantial. And they are, it goes with credit. Unless you can discredit it.
Today's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
On Thursday, in 2 days' time, transport fares will be up.
Right.
They'll be up by some 15%.
Right.
It's not what the Ghanaian people voted your government for.
No.
Okay.
But
for
us to be, because as you said, we inherited got in. We've put proposals. We are beginning to get this one checks the city. What is come out today is now check the city rate, and it is not free falling. It's now stabilizing. In fact, the dollar is come down. So again, even though you have the 15%, right, or as you are projecting, you begin to see that over time it would correct itself. So right now, the effect, the ravages of the last bastion, which they left behind, this is the last bit of it that is coming. So
perhaps you are taking advantage of your goodwill.
What goodwill? What goodwill? We are, as I said to you, it's not a question of goodwill.
Now everything goes.
It's
the Ghanaian people will accept everything.
Why? Why would Ghanaian people accept everything? Ghanaian people knew what they were going through when they made the decision. And don't underestimate their decision, as though that decision was not well thought through. You cannot even begin to go that way. They know the enormity of the challenges and the distraction that went on. And they know that they need a management team that can plan well and position them on the path of growth and prosperity. That is what we are talking
Somebody
about.
had to take the baggage of the John Mahama administration.
You see,
and it had to be the MPP government. And so now the ordinary Ghanaian is reeling from all these hardships.
You see, let me correct an impression that is being created. That when it says that these are facts and facts and facts, and trying to say that our government, if we were not trusted by the international community, we couldn't have raised the type of monies that we raised. We were really, really trusted. And that's why we're able to raise so much money within the shortest space of time. We are talking about 4 years.
And increase the debt stock.
Whatever it is, you increase debt stock because what we term it was smart borrowing. You borrow to finance projects that are self-paying, which are self-financing. So when you use the money into something that can pay back, definitely it is a debt, all right, but in the future the benefits are higher. Now let's come to this transfer. And you see, when people start talking, you see, after your first budget, you have no excuse to start blaming your transferred fares on the previous government. You have come out with a budget. The budget has spelled out what you want to do. If you anticipated, these people are saying that they have considered all the factors that goes into running the transport business. And you have already come out. You said you were going to reduce costs on spare parts. So it's not, they are not looking at only fuel. They are looking at spare parts, they are looking at whatever, you understand? So you said you were going to, in your term alone, fuel has gone up 2-3 times. Spare parts that you say you're going to reduce, you have put it, you said it in your budget. Nothing has been done as we talk now. Nothing has been done. The taxes on spare parts and whatever keeps going up because of the dollar rate. You came and made the dollar around 3. When did you meet the dollar? You made the dollar at 3.5, 3.6 or 3.7. Now the dollar, someone sorted within 3 months to 4.3 or 4.7 or so. So you cannot sit here and say there is a garbage that has been brought upon you. My brother, that's why I had started by saying that I want to give you space. I have promised myself that I will not go ballistic on this government until after 6 months, when I expect whatever things that they are sowing.
So after September, then you.
After September, I expect that whatever thing they have been sowing will start germinating. Then we'll start to see the character of the government and what it's talking about. But please don't try to push us into it.
But 15%
blaming your.
But 15% transport fare hikes is.
It's serious.
Yeah.
It's serious for a government that has promised the people so much. For a government that has promised the people, are saying that the people are suffering and they are coming to relieve their suffering. So it is serious. So please deal with it and stop looking back and blaming somebody for your iniquities. What we are saying as a people is that MPP is in power now. we are all looking at you. We will do our bit as opposition to give you hints, criticize constructively, and ensure that you give the best to Ghanaians. But not to continue to say that you are now dealing with the garbages. What garbage? Did we write your budget for you? When you were saying that you were reducing the KIU taxes and whatnot, did you put that in your budget for you? You did it yourself. So you need to deal with it.
Whatever the situation is as regards the transport increment, if there is going to be, I'm sure there are serious negotiations going on as to the impact it would have on the people and the economy. I believe we are mindful of the repercussions and also mindful of the fact that the Ghanaian people would have to understand that the level or the degree of mismanagement to some extent, to the point that their previous government was referred to as incompetent. If you look at that against what...
Referred to as incompetent by you,
by
not
you.
Anybody else.
Oh, and now you are showing incompetence now.
Okay, please continue.
I don't know. But going forward, the aim is to let the Ghanaian people know that, or the objective is that their situation, their plight is well understood. And we are going to do everything possible to reduce the current level of suffering that they have gone through and position them. Now, as we adjust or readjust and positioning them, there will be some impediments on the way, but those ones are transient, temporal. They should understand that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. We have started the process. There will be some hitches on the way along the path, but over time we would address that and reposition Ghana on the path of growth and prosperity.
After a year or two?
Oh, I mean, as we go, you will see the roll on. As you said, the CD now is stabilizing. We hope and we believe that it will continue to strengthen against the other international currencies and will give relief to the people. Similarly, once we are getting that relief, transport fares would go down as we bring in more.
You believe that transport fares will go down previously? It's never happened in Ghana.
Oh, well,
transport fares or fares or prices of goods and services.
You just said this has never happened in Ghana. You just said this.
Yeah, historic.
Yeah. Similarly, you begin to get number of historic positions.
I remember one of the words you came up with during the time in opposition was unprecedented. We'll see unprecedented
change.
Backward adjustment.
Yeah, but wasn't there an unprecedented change in terms of the wind? Right. So Ghanaians are beginning to align
the change
themselves.
was unprecedented. It was drastic.
Yeah.
Well, unless those words are not appropriate, for me, I believe they are within bounds.
Yeah, you see, when you take positions like this, that is better for all of us to see that, look, Ghanaians should bear with you. You have taken over. You are going to look at it and see what you can do. That is fine. But when you try trying to put in all these times saying incompetence and whatnot, you are going to just muddy the waters. Don't go there.
There's no muddy.
Please, we want to give you space. Okay. We want to give you space. We want to support you. We want to see that the KIA that you say you remove the distance. No, we have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
We have a choice. Like when you had a choice and told us that you make this country ungovernable and you went ahead and made things difficult for us, we will not take that part. You told us you will make this country ungovernable and you went on to implement it. We will not do that.
We will never put.
We want to see you. Please don't bring what you were doing in opposition into government. Only yesterday you saw what has happened in Kofodia. The whole National Health Insurance Office bungled by invisible forces. You need to bring some sanity to this country.
Baba.
These are all part of the things that will collapse a government. And I'm saying that I like the attitude you have taken this morning, especially in your last submission. to say that fine, let's look at how we position the government. We are there to help. Yes. We are in opposition. We all love this country.
That's right.
But if the attitude is to tell us that, oh, because you were incompetent and that we are, no, that will not happen. You will definitely build on what we have done.
Of course, surely. Of course, those areas that were put together properly, we would continue with
many
it and
areas were put together properly. Many.
Will you still contest for your seat in Akwetia?
I have not taken a decision yet.
Okay. Yes,
I'm not taking a decision yet.
When you were a member, was Galamsey an issue for you?
Seriously.
There's a coalition, a media coalition that's launched a campaign against Galamsey.
That I support them fully.
Okay. Do you think that with the involvement reservedly and speculatively by the political elite and top business elite of this country in Galamsey activity, will ever see an end in sight to it?
No, definitely there can be an end in sight. And you see, sometimes we blame politicians and some big men for nothing. They may not have, because I am speaking from my own experience.
You never got inside yourself?
I have never.
You never knew any of your colleagues or compatriots or contemporaries?
No, I don't know anybody. I have never ever done Galamsey before. In fact, I've never done even legal mining before. I've never done that before. And fortunately for me, my whole family, my mother had 11 children. 8 are surviving. None of us is involved in mining, even though we were born on a mine. My father and mother were all miners when they were in their youthful stage, but none of us is doing mining. And I have always been against Galamsey. You see, I have always been mentioned because I am the MP for Akwetia, and Akwetia is known for mining and Galamsey and whatnot. So definitely my name will come up. There have been situations where some people get into trouble and they will call me. And of course, as their representative, I need to do what I can do. And of course, also as a lawyer, I have to do what I can do to help people when they get into trouble. But that does not mean I benefit one way, directly or indirectly, from Galamsey. My position has been this, and I continue to repeat the position. I spoke on your sister radio station, Go FM, and I gave some steps through which we can resolve this matter.
Which is?
And I'm speaking from experience. I said that immediately what needs to be done, and that is where the police and the military come in directly. We must flush out all those people who are on the waterbeds, polluting the waters. That is very, very urgent. They need to do that immediately. But the rest of those who are in the forest, on the whatever, we need a holistic plan to resolve that. You are talking about 3 million people involved.
Really?
Yes. About 3 million people from research are involved in legal and illegal mining. You understand? So to throw these people off their business, and let me tell you, they are secondary and tertiary beneficiaries of mining. So we need to look at it holistically and deal with it. One of the major problems is that in granting mining licenses, we don't involve adequately the local authorities. And so the local authorities are there, somebody comes with his license, he starts mining. When they go to sell them, they say, no, EPA must come first. So we must involve the local authorities and give them the mandate to be able to stop them when they are doing the wrong things on the ground. That is one of the things. How do you
stop Chinese who are wielding guns?
No. When you give the authority to the local people, they will deal with that.
You see.
Okay.
Do you understand? Just a minute before you come.
I see you're very passionate about it.
I'm very passionate because it is really having a devastating effect on our environment. But it's because we always, you see, when you send the military to go into the bush, they'll just go and arrest the equipment. At the end of the day, they arrest both legal and illegal miners. Some legal miners come with their papers, take their equipment back. Some people pass through the back door, take their equipment back, and they're back to work. We need a plan as a country. We need to holistically deal with the problem, not an ad hoc decision. And that's why
what we're doing is ad hoc.
What we were doing, of course, we were also doing some hard work, ad hoc solutions, and that didn't help much. But one of the things that my government did, which I was very happy, was that we identified the problem. And we're trying to bring a new mining law that introduces medium-scale miners. Now, in our laws, we have only large-scale and...
But seriously, it's not the laws that's going to work for us.
No.
We need enforcement of...
But you see, there are certain things,
Please,
a lot of them get off the hook because the law is not detailed enough to catch them. You need the basis as the law. And then you put responsibilities on
then
people.
they are able
and
to
in the law, you cannot
circumvent the law.
involve the
Appointment.
local authorities.
Former MP and lawyer.
That's right.
Appointment. How do we resolve this? I see Peter Mewu, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, doing all the things.
He needs a lot of advice.
What from the excerpts of what Amewu was saying to his Chinese delegation led by the Chinese ambassador.
He was begging them. So
was basically saying that, please assist us. But I look at it from an immigration point of view. Again,
he's an immigration lawyer.
On border control.
That's his expertise.
Yeah.
On border control and boundary control mechanism or management system. One, these Chinese that come in here either come in as visitors or they must come in with employment visa. You cannot just come into a country which is sovereign without visas. Now, if they seem to be breaking the conditions of their visa, then we need to tighten.
But China is a big partner. You just can't.
No, I'm talking about immigration. You come in, you have to obey our immigration laws. You cannot work if you are not permitted to work. So the moment you are picked up working, you must be deported. There's no question about that.
They will do that to us.
Yes, exactly. You cannot go out and go and breach the visa conditions upon which you have been granted a visa. So that is very important. And I believe that the Ministry of Interior is not a question of going with guns and things and raiding.
No.
But we need to make sure that those who are coming in are law-abiding people from their countries. Just as when we go out, we must obey their laws outside. You cannot go to China and go engage in galamsey because it's not part of your visa. They would cancel your visa and bring you. Now, the other thing is environmental degradation is something that would cost us more
to
reclaim than if we are able to manage our people now. Those who are engaged in it are Ghanaians who are looking for work to survive, to feed their family, to pay their children's fees, to provide for their children. So we need to reorient the mindset and move them into meaningful work that they can also get some
Who
money.
will see gold and go and do any other work?
Oh, no,
Which
no,
work
no.
is meaningful?
Yeah, but if gold is going to destroy the water that you drink, right? So you need more gold to buy water in future
You see,
to drink.
Most of those people who work in the pits are not those people who are making the money.
Yeah, true.
It is the grandmasters in Accra and other places that are making the money.
China, they make them.
In China, yes.
And India.
Yes.
And Dubai.
And
that's where they buy the gold.
and the problem they are leaving behind.
It's
Roland,
serious.
It is
It's serious.
it
Former
is
member of
irreparable.
Parliament for Akwitia and a legal practitioner, Baba Jamal. Thanks for joining me, Baba.
Pleasure.
I see you enjoy. Has your years become?
This is what.
Has the years become?
Oh, of course, it has been paid.
Oh, great!
Yes.
Yours
Yeah,
too has
it
been
was
paid.
paid. Everybody's own has been paid, but it
My
was
good
paid,
friend.
and all has gone into paying
Campaign.
debts that were left behind.
Yeah.
I have to pay for my car. People think that the
It
car
means
they
that-
gave us.
Oh, but the
is
car was
given for
only
free,
was only
but you have to
65,000.
pay.
It was only $65,000.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
Mine was
And then
around
also Kofi Osayame, as a member of parliament a former member of parliament for Isujaman, also a legal practitioner. He's also an entrepreneur in his own right. Both of them actually. Yeah. I mean, thanks for joining me, sir.
Welcome.
Your ESB has been paid. I'll pass by. You know me, we're good friends. I'll pass by.
Everybody's
Oh, yeah,
ESB has been
you
paid.
don't have to pass by just because the ESB
Just
has
because